I mean, I don't know if you have anything to say about them, but I'm pumped for this matchup.
Well, guess what? Speaking of the matchup, Yummy, I'm just going to let you guys take this one away. It is, of course, SK Gaming taking on Endpoint. Enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's get over the love of CJ's life, Metsonoris, get into the series itself. And I don't know if you love Metsa or is it all that hatred you have left up for Yukio. I know you two have had beef in the past as well.
I've got beef with everyone, Yummy. It's about if you turn it into steak and really harmonise into a beautiful friendship. And that's what I've done with Metsonoris. As you said, what a beautiful man, and I'm excited to see how he goes. He's on the ball right now, and Endpoint, they're looking to attack, they're looking to aggress in this series. I'd say SK would have to be the favourites from mine. Obviously, Endpoint playing with Seiko, as you said, their previous sub. I'm not sure if this is a trial or they just don't have their third yet. We'll find out soon, but it's an opportunity for Seiko to see how he performs.
I think they really back him. I was talking to Relating Wave earlier, who, as a spoiler, hasn't slept last night. He decided to reset his sleeping schedule, and the night he figured he'd do it was before the quarterfinals. So hopefully he's still got his reflexes intact. But he's really backing Seiko and backing the team, as you saw from their coach in the interview as well. Really backing the team as well. So I think they're going to be pretty happy with Seiko. But your beef analogy as well, I think it really goes well to the SK Gaming team. I actually really like them for their story because all three of these players are players who've been dropped from a roster, Toxum Giants, and obviously had a stint on, I think, Solary. Yukio got dropped from Dignitas, and Ixo got dropped from Galaxy Racer. And all three of them on this team all got a better performance from the teams they got dropped from.
Massive. I love the beef. We love a bit of beef as well. But I'm interested in, as you said, the Relating Wave staying up all night. You can tell that there's so much intelligence going on in the Rocket League scene, and I am going to clarify as well that Seiko is officially their third. Let me just get that one out there, just right off the bat. So thank you. Big ups to Endpoint. I know they're in chat. They're hanging out. Super org. They're having lots of fun, and I'm sure they're excited for this matchup, but I'm sure they're excited to watch Metsonoris again. Just perform. I wanted to see him get the first goal or something here with 2 minutes 20 left. No goals been scored yet, and both teams, Yummy, seemingly figuring each other out. Not too much pressure either way.
Yeah, it's not too worrisome, not too many opportunities as well, and not too much pressure, though we do see that Endpoint are looking to get the pressure. And, I mean, there is more pressure on Endpoint themselves, I feel like, in that they haven't had the greatest performance of late. They're the ones with the roster change and will be looking to prove themselves here as a potential opening. Bit of an very interesting situation. The ball just rolled out in the midfield and no one from either team is ready for that.
Yeah, the double mind game, it often gets everyone on the pitch, so it was interesting to see there, but here we go. An opportunity for SK Gaming. Tox, he loves a dribble. He's a super mechanical player. He might be able to get the flick round. Relating Wave. Great save from Relating Wave there. He doesn't quite get the top corner shot, though, from Tox. He'd be disappointed, Yummy, with that flick.
Yeah, he was probably a little bit late on it. If he got it earlier, probably still would have beaten the defender because it wasn't such a bad flick. But he's not going to be happy that it wasn't the first goal on the board, as SK Gaming will certainly be backing themselves to win this match and maybe even the entire tournament. But that's what everyone's here for anyway, as Tox does get the clear out to Yukio, another player who's definitely out there to prove himself, dropped from the roster, now starting to make big waves once again as one of those players who early on in his days was really hyped up, had really huge expectations right from the get-go.
Great shot coming out from Tox. He's going to get the first goal on the board of this series, and just a misplay coming out here, if you will. Metsonoris, my man. I mean, that's a tough read off the corner. It was a great pass from Ixo in the end. A super tough position to be in defensively. And Tox, he's going to open this one up for SK Gaming. And I like what you said about Yukio. Yummy, he was, if you're unaware of the lore of some of these players, he was probably the most hyped player. Definitely the most hyped player coming out of Europe before he hit the scene. Playing a lot of six-mans and the like, so it's great to see him still around. Obviously dropped from the roster, but great players. They they just can't go away. They're like a bad smell, Yummy, and he's picked up another great team here, and they seem to be performing pretty well.
What's the drive, right? There's a lot of players when things get down, they lose motivation. But for Yukio, he's always seemed to just love Rocket League. You see him streaming all the time, putting in the hard yards, and it feels like it's paying off here. His Endpoint are looking to try and equalize, but it won't matter too much as Ixo gets the clear, even gets it in front of net. And as this one gets close to the ground, it's going to be tough for Endpoint to be able to score a goal. They're just doing everything they can to keep the ball up, and they even managed to do it at their own half. And Ixo, a long drive down the other end, cleared across. This will touch the ground. SK Gaming take game one.
It is quite confusing, Yummy, isn't it? We got Ixo and Seiko on the same pitch, and I tell you what, you could nearly rearrange their letters and get the same. Yeah, okay, you know, if you want to stretch for that one, we might give you a bet. SK Gaming, they've started strong. I did say they're probably the favourites in this matchup. Seiko, they've only had him on there for 2 weeks on the roster. They're still getting used to him. And we've seen some development in the other series from the other new teams. So it'll be interesting to see what Endpoint sort of come up with as this series does progress, Yummy, because obviously they've had 10 shots on the board, more shots. That's a positive, but they haven't found the back of the net. So it's going to be about how do they create these opportunities that they're going to stick, they're going to last, and be able to really open up the SK defense.
Yeah, they had a good amount of time on the attack, didn't really push the issue or steal too much boost, and maybe that's where they go, or maybe they go away from that pressure-based style, start looking for some more passes, some more demos. Obviously, Virtuoso was known for his demo game on Endpoint, no longer on the roster, so maybe one of these other two, or other three players, I guess, step up in that regard.
Well, look, game number 2 here, I'm excited. Metanoris, he let me down in game number 1. I really pumped him up, and I feel like last time we pumped a player up, it was none other than Shaw Set in the first series. The top blokes against Sandrock Gaming, and he performed. This time, it hasn't quite happened, so we'll have to see how Endpoint can respond, as you said, but it might be dangerous here. Yukio, he's an absolute sniper up in the air, and he's going to get the first one on the board from a great assist from Tox, just forcing Seiko to put that one on the bar and really just trouble the rest of his teammates in defense.
And Tox multiple times at this point has been that front man, looking for a flick, looking for a close play, and you just saw in that one how much his teammates trusted him. Both Ixo was up, and then Yukio still waiting in the wings to finish that one off. Really good to see, and this is why we look at a team with 4 months together, 4 odd months, and time to have spent practice to see just how well they are meshing together already.
Yeah, and Tox is a player I feel like I've heard other European and EMEA pros talk about him. He's just super fast, he's super unpredictable, and he's basically just lightning speed. And perhaps they say, you know, not quite using their brain as much, but it might be at the same time just them just being annoyed that he's a pretty good player. I mean, what would you say?
Well, it's always hard to use somebody's opponents as judges on
That's true.
how they play, because when you're looking at the pitch and when you're playing, your opponents often make decisions that you think are silly, but realistically end up being very smart. It can be very difficult to actually see what decision they are making and why. And Tox seems to be making a lot of good decisions in the front half right now.
Yeah, I'm always super impressed with him. Whenever I'm watching the European scene, the EMEA scene, Tox is a player to certainly watch. He's very exciting. So it's great to see him start strong in this series. However, for Endpoint, it's not the ideal start. They're a goal down again. They lost the first game. They've yet to sort of break the ice, if you will, of the SK defense. So, yeah, I mean, what do we need to see here? They've got a little bit of pressure on board, but they're just not quite sticking it, as Meta seems to be pretty deep there. Happy to sort of let it come out to midfield.
It's not surprising to see Endpoint play this pressure-based style. What a redirect, though. Yukio got a bit of a clear, but Ixo turns it into way, way more.
Ixo just going down the other end, grabbing some boost, which is, if you're watching probably Verge's rotation videos in threes, it's probably not the ideal rotation. However, sometimes it just works when you get a big clear, and he was there to get the redirect, and it's just a beautiful finesse sort of touch. I mean, that was glorious to watch.
if you haven't played Rocket League, the ability to get in front of the ball, go up to it so quickly, and still get a deft touch, incredibly hard to do. It might have looked simple, but that one was a great shot that only the best players in the world are going to be bringing out on a regular occasion. But Metsonoris, he doesn't need anything fancy, just a good pass, and absolutely slams that one in.
That is a gorgeous shot from Metso. I mean, that's the sort of pass you got when you're doing the custom striker training. You know what I'm saying? You get that beautiful booming pass across the midfield, the whole net to shoot from, and he says, you know what, I'm going to put this one in the top left corner. Endpoint open up their account here in this series with a great shot from Metsa, but there's still a goal down, Yummy. They've still got work to do in this game.
Yeah, first time we really saw them do anything more than go for a bit of pressure play. It was much quicker with the pass straight into center, a little bit risky as well if your opponents are ready for the intercept. So good to see them go for it. They are looking for goal number 2 at the same time. And they even have an opportunity here as Relating Wave has Metsa once again in support. Hits the backboard, cleaned out, but it is a double commit. A bump out as well as Seiko is looking for it. I almost got the Ixo trick that you were talking about. Just managed to avoid it here at the casting desk.
If we say like Seiko or something, we might get both of them. There's a great shot from Yukio, however. He's going to get the 3rd goal on the board for SK Gaming with the doink play. And look at the pressure there. Just formed it. Just a little bit of a nuisance sort of play. Sending the 3rd member downfield. Sending Ixo just to sit in front of the ball, force out the touch. And Yukio, that was a quality finish. Another quality finish from a great young player.
It actually, we were talking about all these players being dropped, and it almost feels crazy. I mean, obviously, Yukio, Dignitas, they were struggling a little bit, but Giants, when they dropped Hox, it felt like they were on top of the world. Ixo as well was looking really good, or Galaxy Racer was looking really good for their time. So, all very interesting decisions. You can see why some of those teams may not have been so happy after seeing the results. I mean, none of the teams will regret their decisions, but of course, they would like to see the other way. Metsonoris gets this back into a 1-goal game.
Yeah, super. Just pressure there coming out from Endpoint. They forced 2 players to commit. They forced the whole team out. And just an open net, basically, for Metsonoris. He's never missing that. Endpoint get their 2nd goal. And again, they get 2 goals down, Yummy. They get that 1 goal back. But this is the important one here. Locking in another one to get the equalizer would just be huge for the momentum of this game for Endpoint.
Well, not only that, I mean, we're looking at a team that is newly formed. They might just get stronger and stronger as the series goes on. That's where SK has to worry about. Maybe try and end the series as quick as possible in order to prevent Endpoint from getting comfortable with their roster. Seiko almost getting the flip reset and the goal. Relating Wave as well, looking for the double. Good attempts here from Endpoint, but it will be all for naught in the end.
Just heartbreaking stuff there from Endpoint. So close to getting goals, but it feels like the game's opening up. They've got a good feeling here for Endpoint. They can really start looking for an infield perhaps here. Metsonoris goes to the shot, however. I just feel like the infield might have been the better option as it looked free. It was unguarded by the SK Gaming defense. However, Endpoint, they're still on the attack. They've got boost, they've got position, they've got field control, they've got ball control, but they don't have a Yukio on their team as he almost puts another one away.
Oh, great touch by Ixo to take that high. Difficult for Relating Wave, as you see. And that's made it even tougher for them to get out of defense as Tox looks to sink in a final goal. Yukio letting that one get to the ground, and SK Gaming take the game.
A 2nd win on the board. Game number 2. 2-0 up now for SK Gaming, but it wasn't as convincing, Yummy, as game number 1 here. We obviously saw Yukio being the difference in that game with some clinical striking, and it just felt like the tides might be slightly shifting. You nearly favour Endpoint in this next game if it continues like this. They seem like, Yummy, they're slowly figuring it out, as we have seen from a few other teams in previous series.
And I really like that from Yukio too. I think the reason we've been a little bit critical of him in the past has just been a little bit of lack of clinicalness, of good finishing and good touches. I can't really fault him at all for that game and for the series so far. And when you know that he's also able to pull out some big plays too, then that's an extra feather in his cap, but he's not needing to right now.
You're 100% correct. And here in game number 3, I think it feels like if we had a percentage, the advanced stats, a percentage of the field position, it felt like towards the end of that game, it was really swinging in Endpoint's favor. And that's what I'm looking for in this game. I'm looking for the field control, who's got the pressure, who's got the boost control. And right now, it's going to be SK Gaming with a big demo opening it up, and we haven't quite seen the demos. That's a big talking point, Yummy, for Team Endpoint, obviously, with Virtuoso, perhaps the king of demos in all of Rocket League, not quite on there. Is that something they're going to miss on the offensive half?
Potentially, they were falling off in terms of the demos across RLCSX. They kind of fell off of that and were still finding some good success. I think it's just about changing up their play styles and whatnot. I do think that it would be nice if they still had demos in the bag. They can still threaten a game where they just pull them out and absolutely demolish a team and throw them off guard. Because when you do that in a single game, you might take the win in that one, but you might also make your opponents have to worry about the demos for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and I guess on the other side of things, if you're looking for a positive, perhaps just being a little bit too predictable, I guess, with the demos. Perhaps now with Seiko in the lineup, they have a different offense, just a little bit more versatility to work with. And that's what we're trying to see in this game is a dunk comes out from Metanorus. And again, we're seeing Endpoint. They've got the pressure right now. They've got the boost control, and they're looking to push forward in here in game number 3.
Ixo does have the clear towards the net, but Seiko actually going for the dribble, and Tox shuts it down as quick as that. Metanorus has missed, but Seiko was ready for it. So it ends up being a team play, another backboard, but great backboard defense all around. Even though there was a miss, the defense or the attackers had to worry about the touch. They couldn't really commit to that one. So some potential opportunities here for Endpoint if they can find these passes, but they just execute a shot straight towards Tox, and it doesn't amount to much.
Doesn't amount to much at all, but Yuko's going to try and get the pressure on Ixo. He's got a bit of time to work with. He's going to back it up. Relating wave. Look at the offense, though, and Ixo's going to have to respect it. That's what you love to see. Sometimes, Yummy, I feel like this could be open up. This could be completely open. Tox is going to put that one away. I was just going to command Endpoint on the way there to keep that ball in, but the overcommit was forced out, and Tox, he was too fast. Relating wave couldn't quite get back.
Hey, yeah, that's what you pointed out earlier, just how fast Tox could be, and he was just gunning it for that corner, straight up as quick as possible. They didn't even get close to beating him to that ball. It is the power of Tox, gets it to the other end, and SK Gaming, all three of these players feel like they're all hitting a good stride right now, whether over at the other end, over on Endpoint. Still just a few little shaky moments from the odd one, but great pass across to Seiko.
Just as you spoke, a huge double commit coming out. Tox and Ixo, not sure what the communication happened there, but Yuko left like a sitting duck in net. He was grounded, he was backwards, and a great finish from Seiko. Putting that behind him, that's the safe option, always Yummy. Putting it in behind, it's a lot harder to reverse quickly than accelerate fast. I've quite found out in Rocket League, so putting it behind them, it's pretty hard to save.
Yeah, you don't have the boost on the way back, obviously, so...
And it'd be interesting, though, wouldn't it? Put boost on the front of the car. What do you think?
I think you should leave the ideas up to Sonics.
Yeah, okay. Well, I tell you what, Ixo's not leaving this game up to anyone else. He's going to get the lead here, 2-1 up. Beautiful finish, and the double commit coming out. Relating wave, Seiko. They both commit. And Ixo, Seiko's twin, maybe like the evil twin. I'm not sure which one's the evil one, but clearly they're Starcross lovers or something here with a similar names. I feel like you could just word unscramble both those names.
It was a great setup too. Let's get off that. Let's just ignore that. It was a great setup. Really interesting plays coming out that enabling SK Gaming to be unpredictable, just like we were saying, was so important in terms of Endpoint. It's unpredictable just at the individual plays. Tox goes for the ball. It's not even necessary. Confusion in front of net, and Ixo gets the goal.
Oh, what a super play from Tox with all the speed and the pace that SK Gaming have been putting on. He just slows the ball down. He gets the dunk, then he goes over the top of the first, gets the air dribble bump. He doesn't actually bump wave, but just the presence in the air was enough. That is near impossible to defend, Yummy, when you're on the other side of an air dribble bump like that. He was going so slow, making sure he was getting just in front of that ball, and Relating Wave, he was a sitting duck. Endpoint get their third goal on the board, and they're looking to go 3-0 up here. A potential sweep, our first sweep of the tournament, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, obviously, there's still a full another game after this one, even assuming the win from SK. But when I see that play, it just really sums up SK for me. They had great comms in that one. They knew that Tox was going to go for the bump. They had the follow-up from Ixo to go for the ball at the same time, all within a very confusing play, and it just feels so incredibly creative. I love watching a team like this come up with different strategies to get past the net and be so unpredictable and make interesting goals that you're not expecting to see at a regular Rocket League match.
100%. And I think on the end of Endpoint, that was, well, that's interesting. Anyway, Endpoint, we talk about the creativity from SK Gaming. We saw a beautiful pass play from Endpoint for their only goal. But apart from that, they probably lacked a little bit creativity offensively, Yummy. We haven't quite seen the huge solo play or the big flip reset, the double, the flipple touch, the flipple tap. Stuff like that we haven't seen come out from them. We've just seen some good passes, but apart from that, it's been pretty stock standard offense, and SK Gaming have had a little bit of X factor about them, which has nearly been the difference so far in this game.
Yeah, and the X factor from SK has come from all three. That's what I love, is that all three of them have made at least a big play to create something or create a goal throughout this series. Over at the other end, obviously, we have seen good moments, but it's all about strong, solid, standard Rocket League that seems to be easily defended at the moment by SK Gaming. As you said, they may be looking towards that full-on 4-0 sweep.
Yeah, well, it's not looking great. I think that probably in game number one, we started to see a little bit of improvement from Endpoint. Certainly game number two was a lot better. They got 2 goals on the board. They were looking strong. That game, they had the beautiful pass play that you guys saw with Seiko finishing that one off. Yuko left stranded net. Apart from that, don't know if I'm seeing enough from Endpoint here offensively. And on the other hand, you spoke about a lot. Just the ability for the players like Tox, and obviously Yukio's finishing, but particularly Tox I've been so impressed with. Just offensively, so creative, switching up the pace, knows how to beat two opponents, and that's been the difference in this series.
And to give you a little bit of context statistically, that was 9 shots to 4 to Endpoint. They had the 9 shots. They're going for the pressure. They're trying to just break down the defense that is just not cracking whatsoever from the other end. And then it's just great individual plays. 3 goals from 4 shots over at SK Gaming. That's just because they're opening up the net so well.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, 9 shots, but they've been, as I mentioned before, it's been a pretty blunt sort of offense. It's been quite predictable, and they've just sort of hammered the net, and it just hasn't quite worked. Whereas, as you said, with the SK Gaming, they seem to, they're clinical, aren't they? They're picking apart the opponent. They're not wasting shots on net. They're making sure they keep the ball close to them. They're forcing out the errors, and that's been the difference right now. But Endpoint, perhaps the weight of numbers is a big shot comes out. Relating Wave is going to be third man getting back there. Here goes Seiko. Flip reset. This could be the goal. Tox does get a huge save. But this is what we need to see from Endpoint. More solo plays and just creative options here in the offense.
And maybe Seiko, he's that firecracker player. I feel like every team needs that one player that can pop off your alpha for vitality, who can create an opening from nowhere. Maybe Seiko is that player here, but hasn't been able to get enough opportunities. That first flip reset was the first sign of that one. Whether over at the other end, we've seen some fireworks coming from all three. This next goal and this first goal potentially for Relating Wave. No follow-up there as Seiko with another good setup though.
Yeah, huge setup from Seiko, and he's looking to be the difference. He's looking to be the X factor. We talk about the X factor for SK Gaming. He needs to be that X factor for Endpoint. They might not have 3 of them at the moment, but one could be good enough to take a game off SK Gaming, and there's the beat out. It's almost an open net, but again, Endpoint, oh my god, it's saved out. Endpoint, they were just so slow, Yummy, so slow to just capitalize on that open net. They were just begging for someone to get there and put that one away as another shot goes wide.
Relating Wave, Zero Sleepy must have thought he was in bed just a little too late to that one. And that's been a couple of missed opportunities here for Endpoint. It's all great signs, but a goal needs to go in. And it hasn't happened just yet as Relating Wave gets beaten there. But what we are seeing is CeX come out of his shell, the young Frenchman who was described as maybe a bit of a French ball chaser. You're expecting him to have big plays and big contribution, and then he's stepping up in this game.
Endpoint certainly putting the heat on in this game. It has been all in the orange half of the field, all in the offensive half. CeX redirect on target, no. Off target, off the side wall, back wall, not on the right wall, which is the back of the net, Yummy. Not putting that one away.
Oh, you do know where the back of the net is. I would have thought watching you play you didn't know. But CeX's been struggling just to get it because this defense, as we've talked about, from SK Gaming has been so good all throughout. He needs to go for these top corners. He needs to go for the most difficult shot, and they've just been ever so slightly falling out every single time. It's 3 shots now from CeX. He has another opportunity, goes for the fake, and no, the accidental extra touch that took it away from Metsonoris.
For EXO, that's probably he's probably the best 1v1 player on this team here on SK Gaming, and you wouldn't want anyone else in that situation on a dribble play here. CeX couldn't quite get it, but great defense from EXO, just gets enough of a touch on here. And you just feel like even though Endpoint have had all the offense, Yummy, SK Gaming, they're waiting for that one play to just pick them apart, just like clinical, like surgeons, and create an attack and create that goal scoring or the series winning goal.
I'm starting to get real impressed by CeX here. I feel like he may have just been nervous or uncomfortable in the first few games. He's been a real difference maker here, and I even think that this might be Endpoint's advantage in this game, and I hope that they don't get swept after this performance, but we will still see a lot of strong attacks potentially coming out from SK Gaming. They are in defense for now, and Orca run right in front of them. Metsonoris sinks it past all of them.
You don't want to say this was a little bit silly, but there was a pre-jump coming out from SK Gaming. I believe it was Yukio just pre-jumping the bang. He knew it was going to be a big bang, but he didn't quite get there. And Tox, he was forced to make the touch off the backboard, and it wasn't quite the one to beat. Endpoint, they're trying to keep their game, their series alive. As the kickoff comes out, Yukio almost gets the angle, and SK Gaming, they need the equaliser now, Yummy, to try and sweep this one out.
But unlike in the past where they were getting so many opportunities, they haven't had too many. EXO going for a musty. It goes in. Tox finds the top corner. It doesn't get better placed than that.
EXO so close to the musty. That could have been incredible finding the top corner, but his teammate finds it instead. Tox puts it away and gets the equaliser in no time at all. 20 seconds is all it took. This team just needed a goal against them to wake up.
Yeah, it's even just the threat of that musty that really opens it up. That one's going in. Metsonoris sinks a second one, and it's just straight there off the kickoff.
After almost 4.5 minutes of no goals, we've had 3 in about 25 seconds here. Another kickoff goal, and that is going to hurt. You'd hate to see the reverse sweep happen off the back of that if you're for a SK, but I tell you what, that is not what you want to see here. A kickoff goal from an experienced team as well, Yummy, that you probably would expect a bit better from.
Yeah, and you just need to get those kickoffs sorted. But, you know, SK Gaming maybe a little bit surprised by the bounce, and it might cost them this one game and the full sweep of the series as CeX takes that away. Even maybe a shot here from Relating Wave. Looks less and less likely for SK Gaming to be able to equalize this one as Yukio just has to try and maintain any form of possession. Metsonoris has been huge, almost an own goal, and Endpoint will get one in the series.
They're back. They kept they kept the game just deadlocked until about 40 seconds left when the net was finally opened up by Metsonoris. An open netter. A bit of a misplay here in the defense from SK Gaming, Gummy, which we haven't quite seen before, and maybe that's what it is. You just worry them out of it. Get 4 minutes into the game and they're getting frustrated, and we had a kickoff goal and another open net, so perhaps not the most impressive performance from Endpoint, but the way they were able to just wear SK Gaming down was certainly something to look at.
There were certainly a few opportunities, some good ones that were created by CeX throughout that one. It's funny that it was kind of the simple ones that Metsonoris is always seemingly in the right position for that actually gets them the goals and gets them the win. But it's good signs that they might be able to get this game as well, that they might be able to take that if CeX is starting to sink those shots or open it up a bit more for his teammates.
Here we are now, game number 5. Should I say? Had to quite think there. 3-1 here, SK Gaming. They're on the verge of sweeping, and now, I tell you what, Yummy, they're on the verge of reverse sweep. I'm going to call it early. Endpoint. The tides are turning. Seiko, I'm all on the bandwagon, and the shots aren't quite going in there. I believe that was Yuka up in the air, not quite getting the double tap. Icho was close to follow that. Tox is trying to keep that one in, and the big pinch coming out from the Lading Wave is going to see that down the other end.
Maybe not so helpful as it's created a pass for Yukio, but well read there by Seiko, knowing exactly where Yukio was looking. Ixo again, up to this one, but well paced by Metsunoris. You're going to give Seiko some room. You're going to give him a 50, but it can't be in. Relating Wave gets 50 right in front of the net. Another chance gets passed across. Seiko again might find some empty space, but Tox knows to get that dunk and actually gives an opportunity here for SK Gaming in front of the net. Does get cleared by Relating Wave.
I was on Team Metzer. I think I'm jumping on the Seiko train here. Just give me something to look at. Seiko does put that one on target. Ixo is going to be able to manage to get that one across. Here's a great opportunity for Endpoint, but Metzer has no boost. He's going to back out of that one. And now SK Gaming down the other end. Ixo fakes out one. He might be able to push forward for a demo as Yukio with 0 boost tries to just pinch that one into net and let someone come onto it, but wasn't to be here for SK Gaming.
Yeah, that was just hoping that the Psionics gods would take the wheel on that one. Hope for the pinch to get into center. Doesn't quite work out for Yukio. It will get down to the other end eventually from Tox, who has been playing far forward, ready for those passes. Now it's Seiko straight for the shot. Being very direct, Seiko maybe could be looking for a few more passes himself if I have any criticism for him in the last couple of games. But even now, got some room, another fake. He's gone for a few of them in front of net. It's almost worked out, but now a counter-attack opportunity. Ixo, plenty of room, gets it past, gets it in, sneaks it down the bottom left.
Sneaks it in indeed, and this man has just been absolutely deadly in the last few games on offense here. He opened it up last game, and this time again. He sneaks downfield, Yummy. He's grabbing boosts, he's getting redirects. He's certainly that player, that first man rotation that every team just hates to see if you're on the other side, just grabbing your boost and being an absolute weapon, but that could be a great double save. Ixo makes the save, Endpoint looking to come back in. Relating Wave gets blocked out by Ixo again. SK Gaming survive. They do not want to get equalized here because you know that Endpoint, they're going to finish strong towards the end of the game.
It also feels like Endpoint are going to be able to hold on to the lead a bit more if they do manage to get this one or another goal. So definitely keeping this one out of the net for SK Gaming. Very crucial here. And it's been clutch so far as Metsunoris does get it clear. And you can see how aggressive Seiko is looking. He was circling the other end of the pitch, trusting the experienced Metsunoris to be able to defend by himself. Kind of a callback to Metsunoris' old complexity days where he was a monster in the defense, able to always defend by himself.
Pass comes out, Metsunoris gets the redirect on target. Can anyone finish it off? Backboard hit and each, so it's going to get that one away. Yummy, you feel like that was a chance gone begging for Endpoint. A beautiful setup.
And it certainly felt like there was a miscommunication on the second man after that backboard. They didn't know who was meant to put it in. Go in, Seiko finds it. Metsunoris crossbar and down and just sneaking that one by as well.
The simple things for Metzer, the little touch off the wall to himself, sets himself up for the angle. It almost goes in off the bar. Seiko's there to put it away. Metsunoris, he just does the little things, the simple things well, and sometimes that's all you need, Yummy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems Endpoint's style is. Keep it simple. And it's working out for them when you've also got the firecracker of Seiko managing to threaten the defense at the same time. It will be an interesting game, an interesting series, if Endpoint do manage to get the next goal. Metsunoris trying to get a dish off his own backboard, a pass back over to Relating Wave, a difficult save, a long trip in defense, but it does manage to go back and hit the ground, giving more room, more time for SK Gaming, but they're in such a difficult position, out of boost. They manage to get the 100 boost, but it's still a chance here as Seiko goes for the soft touch. Pre-jump for Ixo shuts out the last dregs of that attack from Endpoint.
And this is where you feel like Endpoint, they're going to get the upper hand towards the end of the game. They just seem to be the stronger team. They seem to be, the simple things seem to work, Yummy, when the pressure's at its highest. And that's perhaps where Endpoint can really seem to take the upper hand in this game here. But their backs are still against the wall because they do not want to concede the next goal because their tournament lives are on the line.
Yeah, they've got everything to play for here. Of course, even if you do lose this first series and you're unfortunately knocked out, you still get $25,000 to hand over for COVID-19 relief, as it's all about this final game, or this final goal that looks like it's going to be scored right now. Metsadorus just puts it out. We look like we have an overtime. That one was close.
Oh my, I feel like Relating Wave he stopped moving for a second. He thought it was down. He just thought he'd let it go past him, but it was almost an opportunity. Relating Wave's going to have to make a big save there. He can't put his controller down for that one. Great save coming out, and SK Gaming are on the front foot early in this overtime. Could be the deciding overtime here, Yummy.
Endpoint might have to defend for long, but no, Yukio gets the top corner. It's into center, and SK Gaming have done it. They've made the series their own, and they've done it in style right here with that pass across to Yukio.
Just a beautiful pass, and EXO was certainly the difference towards the end of that series for SK Gaming. Just so creative on the offensive end, sitting downfield, and that pass was absolutely beautiful. The back post was unguarded, Yummy, and Yukio, the finisher, the striker, he took that one and he ran with it.
Just more creativity coming out from SK Gaming. They're just a team so good to watch. They're able to score goals that you're not expecting. And of course, that means that they take out the series and go through to the semi-finals.
Yeah, now I've got to ask you guys, because from the outside, that looked probably the most convincing all night. Is it feeling that way? Have we got our front runner at the moment? Or is this more so, the lack of skill from Endpoint?
Well, keep in mind that CJ did call the reverse sweep right before that game. So at least he had belief in Endpoint. And I think they started to pick it up and were playing quite well at the end.
I think that Endpoint certainly had they certainly started to get the pressure in the game. We saw pretty much every game they were having more shots, but again, it was sort of that simplistic offense versus the complex, the solo plays, the creativity. And again, the difference in the end was, although we're looking at Seiko as that X factor, for SK Gaming, they had EXO just down the other end. We saw it early in the series, Yummy, with that redirect sitting downfield, but towards the end of that series, he was just sitting downfield. He was getting dribbles. He was getting some musty plays that almost came off, but either way, they were creating opportunities. They were opening up the net. They were just dismantling the Endpoint defense, and that was huge in the end for SK Gaming.
I think as well, you got to remember, that was Seiko's first ever performance with this team. And, he's not a well-known player, well-established player. There's going to be a few nerves. We've now seen the potential of Seiko. I'm really excited for that Endpoint roster, even if they weren't able to win today. And I'm excited to watch more of SK Gaming. I like the fact that they went through, because they're just a beauty to watch.
I mean, that was a joy for me. I'll say that much. As just a pure spectator at the moment, I'm still trying to learn the ropes here, guys. You can hold that back, but $25K for the Endpoint roster. They will be able to decide where that goes, what charity out of 5 they will choose. Now, this, of course, is our match MVP. CJ, is this deserved?
Oh, 100%. I think that the 3 goals probably doesn't do it justice towards the end of that series. I don't know if you agree, Yummy, but just the space he was able to create offensively, just being that nuisance downfield. Sometimes it doesn't work out for teams, but this time it certainly did. I mean, look at that beautiful redirect. That started off the series, and from then on, he had the musty flicks and the redirects, and the dribble plays. He's a 1v1 player. He's known as, he came onto the scene as a 1v1 player, and he's really showing his 3v3 talents right now, EXO, and just a super player and another X factor out of the 3 X factors on SK Gaming, if you will.
Yeah, all 3 of them, I think, had great performances. I could point out all the things that they did together, but EXO getting involved in so many of those goals. I think he scored 7 or 8 of them across the series, including multiple goals that he scored by himself, which was, I think, the